There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Darkness on the Edge of Town radio show. This is your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, as always, my producer and co-host, Timmy D. How are you, Timmy?
Hey, diddle diddle, I'm in the middle.
That's true.
Or something like that.
Hey, everybody that tuned in this evening. I know that our guests on the lineup and that we've advertised were Colm Kelleher, the author of the book Hunt for the Skinwalker, and Lloyd Auerbach. Lloyd Auerbach will still be joining us in the second hour this evening, and our special co-host for that part of the show will be Steve Gonzalez from the TV show Ghost Hunters. Will be on here to discuss ghost hunting in the 21st century with Mr. Auerbach. Our first guest, Colm Kelleher, was taken to the hospital last night and he can't be with us. All of us here at Darkness on the Edge of Town wish him a very speedy recovery. Mr. Kelleher will join us in the future on another date, so please watch our site at www.darknessradio.com. Click on the show tab, and you'll be able to see what day that we reschedule him for. We do wish him the best, and we do wish that he heals up very quickly. But in a pinch, we were able to get a fantastic guy to come on the show with us this evening. His name is Mark Constantino, and Mark and his wife Debby are a husband and wife paranormal investigation team. They're certified parapsychologists. They've investigated many haunted sites over the past few years, and they've been channeling most of their time and effort into the art of receiving EVPs, which is the electronic voice phenomena. They do that on a consistent basis. They've worked out a process that allows them to be able to reach loved ones that, quite frankly, people thought that they would never hear from again, or at least not until they crossed over to the other side. They've worked on an episode of Dead Famous, the TV show on the Biography Channel, when they were trying to contact Howard Hughes. They've also been part of many other amazing investigations. So if you could all join us this evening in welcoming our guest, Mark Constantino. Mark, are you with us?
I'm here.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on such short notice like this. We appreciate having you on.
Absolutely.
Now, if you have an interest in learning more about Mark and Debby, you can check out their website at www.spirits-speak.com. Again, that's spirits-speak.com. Now, Mark, you're collecting EVPs. Well, first of all, what got you into the field to really enjoy doing the EVP end of the work?
Well, actually, my wife has been involved in this longer than I have. And then I had something happen to me probably 7-8 years ago where in one of our apartments that we were living in, I was actually touched. So that kind of forced me to kind of open up to this and try to figure out what was going on. And that's kind of when I got into it. And we've been doing EVP for probably about 5 years now.
Okay. Now, you've gotten, it says according to your bios that you guys are doing that you've really gotten good and getting EVPs on a consistent basis. What do you attribute that to?
I think basically the most important thing would probably just be consistent. I mean, we do recordings at our home, and for the longest time we were doing it 2 times a day, in the morning and at night. We've since cut back because I've got probably 12 recorders in this house that are full that I just haven't had a chance to download into the computer and try to clear up. But if you decide to try to do EVP at home, probably being consistent is the most important thing. If you can only afford to do it, once a week, maybe a Friday night or a Thursday night, just really try to be consistent with that one time. And it took us about 3 months to get our first EVP. And I think once, it takes a little while to form a bond, but once Spirit knows that you're going to be there when you say you're going to be there, they kind of get attracted to wherever you are. and that's basically what has happened with us.
You know, Mark, our engineer has signaled me, too. If it's possible to speak up a little bit, we've got you on a real quiet pod here, so we're not able to hear you very well.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Going forward now with this, so you said you just kind of stick to a consistent level. So do you actually invite the ghosts in beforehand or the spirits to speak with you before you even start recording, or say, hey, let's hook up here every Wednesday and Friday night from 8 to 9? I mean, how do you work that out?
Yeah, basically that's it. I mean... It's a good idea to vocalize, put it out there that you're going to be recording, Friday night at 8 o'clock. And, if you feel weird about doing that, then if there's people around, just wait till nobody's around. Because they're basically all over the place. And if they have something to say, they're going to end up coming to you instead of coming to the guy down the street that doesn't have any capability of hearing what they're trying to communicate.
Now, with doing the EVP, what type of equipment are you currently using?
We use a Panasonic digital recorder, just a regular note taker, and then we have some Sonys that we use. For a while, we were experimenting with a reel-to-reel recorder. Basically, any type of recorder that's on the market, you can get EVP from. We've got EVP on our cell phone. It's just amazing.
Now, how do you know that's not just bleed through from another line crossing yours or picking up a signal?
Well, as far as the cell phone, it was really weird. It rang 2 times. As a matter of fact, we were on our way to a EVP conference. And the phone rang 2 times. It should have continued to ring. And then my wife ended up checking the message, and there was a message when there really shouldn't have been. And it was an EVP saying, speak to us. So we took it as kind of a calling, and we've been basically hooked on this ever since. Wow,
reach out and touch someone, huh?
Yeah.
We will open up the phone lines this evening, so if you have questions for our guest, Mark Constantino, about EVPs, or you have questions about how you can go about getting better EVPs, questions about the EVPs that you'll hear on tonight's show, you can give us a call at 612-375-1400. Again, that's 612-375-1400.
Mark, I got a question for you. It seems like to me with EVP, and I'm going to hit you with a little skeptical side here. With EVP, it seems like, as an audiophile, you tend to hear stuff on lower grade audio recording equipment. You never hear a ghost come through in 5.1 Dolby. Right. Is this true or not? Have you used a higher grade recording equipment in order to catch an EVP, and have you ever caught anything in a higher grade other than, like, say, a Panasonic recorder or a cell phone or something where there could be background noise that could be misconstrued as an actual EVP?
Well, basically, the background noise is what Spirit needs to use as basically like a carrier wave. There's kind of 2 schools of thought on how EVP is created. One of them is that it's actually in the ear, but it's kind of like a dog's whistle. A dog can hear it, but a human can't. And then the other school of thought is that it's somehow imprinted right onto the recorder. But the cheaper recorders seem to work better because of that internal noise. They need some kind of noise to be able to manipulate into sound because they have no vocal cords, no voice box. I mean, nobody has the exact answer to this, but background noise does help in getting EVP.
And that's using white noise?
Yeah, white noise. We use our ceiling fan all the time. Running water. I remember a funny story real quick. When we first started doing it, my wife thought it would be a good idea while she took a tub to go ahead and put the recorder down because we realized that the running water worked really good. And I'll tell you what, some of the stuff we heard on the recorder was quite shocking.
Hubba hubba, woo! Shave them legs, baby.
Yeah, it was funny.
Wow, that's crazy. So using the sound of the water, or I know a lot of different thoughts out there. People hate white noise. They say it's a dumb way to try to get EVPs, and that you're just manipulating your ears, kind of matrixing for your ears, like when you look at a pattern on a carpet and you can see faces and things like that. I got to admit, when I grew up, I still have to sleep with a fan going all the time. I need that white noise to sleep.
I do too.
I could hear, sometimes it sounded like a party going on in the next room, or talking, but just quiet enough. And it wasn't like my ears were trying to pick up a sound. I could literally hear these things. And sometimes there was music, glasses clinking, those kind of noises. I turned my fan off, nothing.
Right.
And I'd strain my ears to listen for these noises. I'd turn my fan back on, and within a few seconds, I'd start to hear the party again. And it would always sound like it's just in the next room, so you just can't hear it. But it was there. And I've noticed that that's happened even into my adulthood. There's times I'll sit up in the middle of the night because I think I hear something. I turn off the fan, it's gone. As soon as I turn it back on, I can hear the sound waves coming.
Right.
So they're using it. Is it like the fan is distorting sound patterns, so it's easier for them to cling to that noise, or?
I think they just, like I said, they basically, by the way, that happens to me also. I'll be laying here in bed with Debbie, and we sleep with like 4 fans on in our room. And she'll turn to me and say, "Do you hear that music?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I hear it." I think they just use that white noise or ceiling fan noise to just generate sound. And like I said, exactly how it happens, I'm not sure.
I wonder if the fan, because that's what most people seem to use to pick up white noise EVPs, I wonder if it has something to do, and Tim, my co-host and producer here, knows quite a bit about audio technology. Tim, I wonder if, how sound travels through water at a muted way, but you can be at one end of the pool and scream through the water, and you can hear it at the other end of the pool in a muffled...
Yeah, it's distorted.
Right. I wonder if maybe the fan is kind of whipping up sound waves. You might be picking up the TV next door, or you might be picking up somebody having a conversation that you normally couldn't hear. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of pulling it in like a focal and stirring it up. I wonder if that would have any effect on the... Because, I never look outside to see if there's somebody there. It just stops as soon as I turn off the fan. I wonder if it's like an amplifier of some sorts.
But, well, I think you would probably, if that was the case, you would probably maybe also hear it once you turn the fan off. Because even if the fan amplifies it a little bit, once you turn the fan off, you have a whole lot of less sound that you have to listen through to hear the guy next door talking.
Right.
So I don't think that's what it is. I do think the sound is there.
Now, let me ask you, as you're going through doing the EVPs... Oh, I'm sorry. Tim has a question for you.
I might take just a little bit of issue with you on that, because if you sit and if you try and talk to somebody on the other end of a fan, if you have a floor fan sitting in front of you, and you're trying to talk to somebody across the room, it's harder to hear them than it would be if they were standing in front of the fan. So if you have a fan, if you have a noise coming from behind a fan, it's not going to amplify it. If anything, it's going to jumble the sound wave.
Right. Well, I believe Dave was saying that.
I was wondering if it would amplify it.
Right.
If it would work like a megaphone where the sound would come in and the fan would be blowing out the sound almost.
See, I don't know that at that point, the thing that's scrambling the sound wave is the actual movement of the fan. I don't know that it's airwaves.
That's true. That's what I was just asking. I didn't know if maybe audio-wise that might be the way it works. Now, the question I have for you, Mark, with doing these EVPs, and you've collected thousands, and you go on investigations, do you ever feel that maybe a spirit that hangs out with you might be affecting where you're at, and maybe the questions you're asking at Red Fox's house is actually your grandpa Bob answering the questions and not Red Fox? Or, do the voices ever sound... I know a lot of them sound similar, and they've kind of got that growly, gravelly sound to them, but do you ever start to think, holy crap, this voice always sounds like the same voice no matter where we go?
No, we have so many EVP, and they come in so many different shapes and sizes. Like we have one spirit. His name is Bob. He's a lot of time he spends around the house. We have a bunch of EVP that he says this is Bob, and but they all sound different in a certain sort of way.
Okay, there is definite differential between their voices. You can tell that. Like you, Tim, and I talking, there's definite differences between our voice pattern. so you can hear it. I know I heard one of them in that you could hear like a southern accent being used in the EVP. I can't remember which part of your site it was on, but when I clicked it, it said it sounds like a southern voice or a southern gentleman. You know, I can't remember exactly what it was set up at, but yeah, I guess you could see some differences. We've got a quick question calling in here, Mark, from Jennifer. Right. Jennifer, are you on the line with us?
I am. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Doing great. You had a question for Mark?
I do. I have tried to listen to people's EVPs, and I hear, they always play me the befores and then the afters, where they've cleaned them up with some sort of program. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's something that you have to get used to, but once they've cleaned them up, all I can hear is kind of the electronic garble. And I was wondering if that's just something that you eventually get used to and you can pick out the differences, or if it's just their program. I just can't understand why I can't seem to hear anything when everybody else does.
Right. I think, this is not an exact science. So when you hear EVP, a lot of times you do need to send it through some kind of software to clear it up and maybe to amplify it. But you definitely can clear up an EVP to where all you hear is this kind of electronic sound, and you end up making EVP worse, than what it was to begin with. But as far as like hearing EVP and being able to understand it, I think there's no other way to get around it other than, you just have to put your time in. You have to listen to EVP, and eventually, you'll train yourself to kind of listen into the sound.
Are you having problem, Jennifer, hearing it at all? Or it just sounds like that kind of sound to you?
Yeah, I hear it fine, actually, before they, I can make out some of it before they edit it with any of the sound software. But once they do that, I hear that,
Right.
It sounds like some sort of robotic stuff. And once they do that, I always lose it with all of my friends that do that. And I thought it was just me.
Jennifer, I can tell you that from what little I've read, like on Ghost Hunters, you use Adobe Audition. We use that here at the station. With Adobe Audition, what they do to amplify the actual sound wave is to use a function called normalize. And normalize actually brings up the volume. At the same time, if you bring it up too much, what you're hearing is distortion in the sound wave itself. So what you originally might hear as white noise and a little bit of background vocal will actually become much more distorted, and the white noise will sound more like distortion than anything else. So it will affect the sound wave.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, good, because I felt like a complete idiot all those times.
Now, is there a specific software you'd recommend, Jennifer, to pick up or use, Mark, that you find is better than any other?
I also use Adobe Audition, and there's a software out there, and it works unbelievable as far as like knocking down the white noise and any other noise that's there that you use to get EVP, and it's called the Clear Voice Denoiser, and it is really, really good software to use.
Clear Noise?
Clear Voice Denoiser.
Voice Denoiser.
Right.
Okay.
Voice Denoiser. All right,
You're
I've got that down. Yeah, so that way we can mention it on the show, because people are always asking me what they should look for. So it's Clear Voice Denoiser.
Yeah.
So it clears it up, and you can clear up your sinuses with it too, right? Good deal. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Jennifer.
Thanks, Dave.
This evening, our guest is Mark Constantino for the first hour, and Mark and his wife, Debby, are paranormal investigators who are adept at being able to collect electronic voice phenomena. We're talking to Mark about the different studies and the different types of programs to use and how he started and got involved in this. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we've got some really interesting EVPs that Mark and his wife have been able to get over the years, and some fascinating stuff from an investigation they did at Red Fox's house. We'll hear those EVPs and learn a little bit more about the investigation right after this.
The New York Times has raved about the show. The Star Tribune says it's paranormally funny. And the Biscayne Bugle said, how could they put this crap on the air and live with themselves?
I am so sorry for everything that has happened. Because in spite of what Mike says now, it is my fault. Because it was my project. Everything had to be my way. And this is where we've ended up.
Stay tuned. There's more to come from the darkness on the edge of town.
This is Dave Schrader from the Darkness on the Edge of Town radio show. Each week, we delve into the web of the unknown and deal with a lot of scary subjects. But nothing makes my blood run colder or scares me more than dealing with technology. That's why we turn to the experts when we wanted our website for the show set up and maintained. In the studio with me is Don Raleigh, owner of Evolve Systems. Don and his exceptional staff were easy to work with and made setting up our site a breeze. Don, what is it that sets you apart from other web developers?
Well, Dave, we make your business visions come to life by creating, maintaining, and hosting all of your internet needs. We do this by listening to our clients. We offer programs and price plans to fit any budget. And Dave, I mean any budget. Call us at 651-628-4000 and put us to work for you.
Call Don at Evolve Systems, 651-628-4000. I did, and I couldn't be happier with the results.
That's because we take the out of technology, Dave. Call us today at 651-628-4000 or visit us on the web at www.evolve-systems.com, serving the entire United States. That's Evolve Systems, helping you to manage change. Cheers.
If you read Taps Power Mag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd.
Could not go to work because Bigfoot stole my car.
And the creepy. Taps Power Mag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of The Ghost Hunters to the latest trends in technology, the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparamag.com.
The smell of voodoo hangs in the air. Either that or Dave and Tim had the 7-meat salad for dinner.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes. Somebody open the window.
Welcome back to the darkness, or whatever is hanging in the air on the edge of town.
Good evening, and you are tuned in to the Darkness on the Edge of Town radio show. This is your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, my co-host, and private board monkey, Tim Dennis. Good evening, Tim. Our guest, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, was Mark Constantino, and Mark is a great fill-in guest for us this evening. I appreciate him coming on last minute. Our guest, Colm Kelleher. If you tune in to hear Colm talk about his book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, Mr. Kelleher was rushed to the hospital last night. He seems to be okay now. He's going to try to join us here in the future. We all wish him our best. For those of you listening to the last commercial break, when Jesselyn was talking about the Meet the Healers, Meet the Psychics Day coming up on April 1st, you can contact her at 651-208-6452. It's a fantastic day to spend all day learning more about the metaphysical, learning about the paranormal. I will be there to help host the Inner Circle. So if you get a chance to come on out, I'll be able to meet with you, say hi, talk to you a little bit there as well. Now we're going to get back into the discussion with Mark Constantino. Mark, you've got an investigation. Could you give us a little background? Why were you investigating Red Fox's home, and how did you get that opportunity?
Well, actually, that investigation just kind of fell into our laps. We were down last October in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Paranormal Conference. We were doing a presentation on EVP, and some folks down there that we know were shooting a pilot to shop around to the networks. So they asked us if we would hang around a couple more days and help them try to get some EVP for the pilot. So we ended up just extending our stay a few days and staying down there.
Okay. And they just asked you along on this. Now we've got, how many is it EVPs-wise over there, Tim? We've got about...
Oh, the ones off the website, Mark. So we've got Red Fox 1 through 5. If you want to call out whichever ones you want to call out.
Right.
Well, why don't we go through them all and give everybody a chance to hear it? What's the first one called, Tim?
Accidentally.
Accidentally. Now, what do you know if there was a question involved in this, or how you got the word accidentally on tape?
I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay.
So I don't know if I usually put a little write-up underneath it. I don't know if I did or not.
No, I know on the Red Fox ones there was no write-up on any of them.
Okay.
But I just thought we'd check it out. So, okay, let's go ahead and listen to this one. Why don't you play that one more for us, Tim? So you're picking up the word accidentally there. Okay. And then, had you been asking, do you remember, was it, how did you die? Was it something like that?
You know, off the top of my head, I don't really remember.
Go ahead and lie. The listeners won't know. All right, and our next one?
It's Hi, Debby.
Hi, Debby. Okay. Now, that one's pretty clear. I mean, you can hear the Hi, Debby in there. Let's hear that one more time. Now that's getting that kind of tinny sound to it, though. Is that what you were talking about a little bit earlier, Tim?
Well, yeah, in a way. I mean, it's not. It sounds a little bit clearer when it's not obviously being fed over our phone hybrid.
Okay.
But there's a tinny quality there, and you can hear in the high Debby. You can hear it. You can hear high Deb, and if you listen enough, you can hear high Debby. But with the accidentally, it almost seems a little too garbled. Now, I'll ask you this, Mark, and again, I tend to play the skeptical side. Don't take any offense to this or anything like that with EVP. Do you use that second program you were mentioning when you cleaned up these particular EVPs, or what did you clean up the EVPs in? Do you remember?
Well, yeah, usually the first place I stop is Adobe Audition.
Okay.
And then depending on how clear I can get them, I may go to clear voice denoiser, and I may not. It all depends on how much background noise there is, to begin with.
Okay.
So I don't always go to clear voice denoiser, but if you're using like white noise to pick up EVP, clear voice denoiser you will end up going to, because it just sucks the white noise right out of the recording, and you end up hearing voices that you wouldn't normally be able to understand.
All right, and we do have Mark Constantino as our guest this evening. He's talking to us about collecting EVPs. That's electronic voice phenomenon. If you have questions for Mark or questions for Tim and I, you can give us a call at 612-375-1400. Again, that number is 612-375-1400. And Tim, during the break, you were explaining to me why you get that tinny sound. Why don't you explain to the listeners so they have a little bit of a better understanding for people like myself that might learn how to use this but not understand why they're getting that electronic tinny sound?
Well, you're talking like a garbled sound?
Right.
Well, a lot of times if you're normalizing an Adobe Audition and you push the limits of the actual sound wave, it distorts the sound wave. And then you start to hear that crunchiness, or you start to hear something beyond the white noise. Now, if you push it too far, now it's a fine science, and again, I give Mark all the credit in the world. It's a fine line between really crunching your wave or really expanding it way too far and coming in and getting just the right balance. And then if you're taking out the white, because the white noise will come up along with what you have for an EVP, you either have to leave the white noise up, or you have to get rid of the white noise somehow to get the voice. Now, I've never worked with the second program that Mark worked with, but with Adobe Audition, it's very easy to raise the level of what you've recorded to hear it a little clearer, but you're also going to raise the level of the white noise as well. But should you distort the wave, you'll distort what's actually being said in the wave as well.
Right, but you were saying something about the software will actually compensate and fill in when it can't understand the difference.
Right, if it can't determine between the EVP, the actual sound of the EVP, and the actual sound of the white noise, if you try and run it through, and I don't know if you ever do this, Mark, do you ever run it through the noise floor or the EQ to try and stabilize it in Adobe Audition?
No, I never use the equalizer.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you try to find the noise floor on the wave, and we might be getting a little too geek speak here, but a lot of times if you try to find the noise floor or try to find a common ground, they have what's called like a hiss and a pop eliminator and some things you can do to take sounds out of Adobe Audition. If you're trying to take the white noise out, if you have a high amount of hiss, let's say you have a dead quiet room, no fans, nothing, and you think you hear something, and you raise the level of or you normalize the sound wave, you bring it up, you're hearing the EVP, but you're hearing an incredible amount of hiss there too. If you try to use Adobe Audition to come in and take that hiss out, sometimes it can't distinguish between the EVP and the hiss because they're similar in range.
Okay.
So what it may do is it may distort the EVP further because it can't tell the difference. There's a fine line, and I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, Mark, but there's a fine line between the actual sound you're getting on a sound wave and white noise. And that's why it's probably not a good idea to use EQ or use the noise floor in order to straighten out your sound wave. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah. And I mean, there's times that, I'll work with an EVP, and then you always want to keep the original. So I'll work on an EVP, and then I'll go back and listen to the original. And there's a lot of times where I'll say, you know what, I like the original better, and I'll just delete the the EVP that I worked with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in Mark's fairness, we do have the cuts of Red Fox where these are like clear as day.
Right.
So just so you don't think that I'm harping on EVPs in general here, you've got Mark on the website here. You've got the third one you have here where he says Red Fox needs you. It's almost clear as day. Should we hear that one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Play that one.
I mean, it's pretty close to what you would,
Get it one more time for us.
Okay.
Can you cue it up a little louder?
I got it all the way up.
Okay.
I think.
Now, did you feel that when you were doing this investigation, Mark, that you were actually contacting the spirit of Red Fox? Or, I mean, I couldn't see Red Fox saying that Red Fox needs you. I'm just curious what you thought maybe you were dealing with.
Yeah, no, I don't think we contacted Red Fox. I just think that spirits are everywhere, and if you have a recorder and you're trying to speak to them, if they have something to say, there's a lot of times we'll get answers, direct answers to our questions. And right now, this is the closest you have out there to direct spirit contact is EVP,
right.
because you will a lot of times get answers to your questions, and most of the time it happens a fraction of a second after you finish asking the question. The answer will just come right through.
How often do you hear them audibly when you ask the question? Not when you replay it on tape, but you ask, Red Fox, are you here? And you hear a voice go, yes, audibly before you even, you know what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Not upon replay, but raw, that you actually can hear the sound in the air.
I don't ever hear that.
Okay.
I don't ever hear that. My wife is more psychic than I am,
okay.
and occasionally she will, but I don't ever hear it that way. I wish I did.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would.
All right, let's go. Now, what's the next sound wave we have on here, Tim?
Get into the house.
Okay. That's pretty creepy. Hit that one again. Yeah, you can definitely hear it. It's kind of a weird little metallic again on it, but you can hear the words pretty clearly. Hit me one more time.
Hit me!
Huh.
It's kind of James Brown of you.
Yes. Now, Mark, when you're doing this, how many times does it take you usually to listen to it till you can pick up what the words are? And have you ever put something on your website that you're like, oh, it says get into the house, and then somebody else will come to you and go, no, I can clearly hear it say, don't forget the blouse.
Yeah, absolutely that happens.
Okay.
And that's the thing with EVP. If it's not a Class A EVP,
right. Yeah, why don't you explain that real quickly for the listeners? There's a lot of people like myself that are still learning about the paranormal and don't understand all the different classes. What's a Class A? It's Class A, B, and C, correct?
Right.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick explanation of them all?
Yeah, Class A will be an EVP that, if you play it off of your recorder or you download it into your computer, you can play it to 7 different people and they'll all hear the same thing.
Okay.
There will be no, well, I heard this and I heard that. Everybody hears the same thing. It's just really clear. And then Class B, you might get an EVP that's, say, 4 words long. And the people that are listening to it may agree on 3 of the words. And the 4th word, like you said, one person may hear house and then the other person may hear blouse. And in the Class C is, you're better off not even wasting your time trying to clear them up, because you can spend so much time on Class Cs, and you might get 3 or 4 words and you may be able to end up understanding 1 word.
Now, with these two, do you recommend when you're listening to the playback to always wear headphones?
Yeah, if you really want to do it the right way, you do want to use headphones. Full ear headphones is the best way to go. You don't have to get a really expensive pair, but you do want full ear headphones.
All right, because that helps to alleviate the junk noise behind you while you're listening to this too, right?
Right.
Okay. How about your microphone that you use? Are you using the internal microphone or are you using an external plug-in microphone? And which one would you recommend as the better way to go?
We use the internal microphone on the digital note takers. If we use our cassette recorder, we'll put an external external microphone on, and we just go to Radio Shack and just get an omnidirectional microphone, and that's basically what we use. But mostly as time goes by, we kind of have gotten to the point to where we're mostly working with our digital recorders.
And do you find, again, you don't use the external mic because you want to use that kind of white noise of the machine itself to help bring up the voices?
Yeah, and it seems to work really well.
Now let me ask you, on the Class C, or some hard to understand voices, have you ever thought, is there any backmasking at all going on? Where maybe if you play it backwards, you can actually understand what they're saying? Or do spirits not speak crazy like that?
We do have a few EVP that when we played it backwards, it came out. We don't really get that too often, but every once in a while, it will come up.
Okay. Tim, now do we have one more left on the site here to listen to?
Actually, I'm just looking through your EVP gallery, Mark. There's actually some interesting EVPs here from different sites you've been to. Do you have a favorite site and a particular EVP that you have on the website that you'd like our listeners to hear that really just kind of creeped you out?
Well, not really as far as creeping me out. I think if you go to the Goldfield investigation, it's a hotel in Goldfield, Nevada. It's been closed about 60 years. It's where we did the show with Dead Famous.
Okay.
And some of the EVP there, these are really interesting EVP because they have stories behind, the answers. And the EVP is pretty clear. The EVP at Goldfield seemed to be clearer than the EVP we got at Red Fox, I think.
Now, real quickly, let's wrap up with the Red Fox investigation here. What did you take photographs, video? Did you get anything else there?
We took some photographs. We got some mist by the pool area. Seemed to be the hot spot there. And like I said, it kind of fell into our lap, so we didn't have, our camera, that we usually have. And plus, we were in Vegas and we live in Reno, so we didn't do any kind of videotaping.
Okay. Well, why don't we? Yes, Tim.
Just real quick before we go to break, let's leave him with an EVP here, Mark. You have one. It's number 2 on your website. It said this one is also from the basement. You asked if you were annoying them by being in the basement, asking them questions. That you say here they were quick to answer and were obviously used to having the basement all to themselves. And this is their reply, if you're ready. According to the website, it says, "Yeah, you're making me hate you."
It's kind of a fast talker, but
we can play it one more time here.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Now that one, that's another one I have a hard time with. It's probably like the ones Jennifer was referring to. They're kind of a little harder to hear for some people than others.
Right.
But you got that. Yeah, I would guess you get all kinds of crazy ones. We'll talk about the investigation you were just talking to us about. We also have a caller on the line with a question. We're going to get to that right after this.
We thought El Chupacabra meant the cup of coffee in Spanish.
Me llamo Eduardo Especial. ¿Cómo está el yay?
What you talking about, Willis?
Shows you what we know. Stay tuned. There's more to come from the darkness on the edge of town.
Tri-Minnesota Mortgage was founded on one simple principle: to be your complete mortgage resource. Keith Troutman and the experts at Tri-Minnesota Mortgage will assist you with all your needs. They've built a reputation for client satisfaction and are devoted to making the mortgage process as easy as possible. You get to work with a broker that understands your needs. Finding the right loan is only the beginning. Tri-Minnesota Mortgage will assist you every step of the way to ensure smooth sailing with personal one-on-one help. I'm Dave Schrader, the host of Darkness on the Edge of Town. When I bought my new home, I turned to Keith Troutman to help me. He made what could have been a very stressful time easy and painless. He was considerate and realizes that this is more than just a job to him. It's the future for you. I recommend them to my friends, and I'm happy to recommend them to you. To take the first step to a financially free tomorrow, call 952-223-5000 or visit them on the web at cruiseatclose.com. For a fresh start, no matter what your current situation, call Keith at Tri-Minnesota Mortgage. That's 952-223-5000. As Keith says, it's your money. Keep more of it. That's Tri-Minnesota Mortgage, 952-223-5000.
Would you like to contact a loved one who has crossed over to the other side? Do you worry about your own health issues or those of a loved one? Are you curious about your relationships and your career? If any of these questions have crossed your mind recently, then this is an experience that you cannot miss. Come join me, Jessalyn Devereaux, on Saturday, April 1st, as I host the Meet the Psychics, Meet the Healers Day at the Minneapolis Learning Annex. Just go online today to www.professionalangel.com to register and find out more. Renew yourself with this day that's sure to inspire miracles and change your life. The day is filled with psychic readings, seminars, and spiritual healing sessions. Plus, everyone who attends will receive a free, complimentary mini-reading. So go online today to www.professionalangel.com or call 651-208-6452. That's 651-208-6452.
2006 is here, and for many of you, another year has passed without treating you and your loved ones to a much-needed getaway. Rocky Shores Resort has just what you're looking for. Join owners Jerry and Kim Pipp at their family-themed resort that offers a heated outdoor swimming pool, volleyball court, playground, spacious lodge with games and activities for the whole family and more. With 6 2- and 3-bedroom cabins that are affordable, comfortable, and fully furnished, and 12 seasonal RV sites, Rocky Shores Resorts is perfect for a private escape or for a family reunion. The resorts are located on the east shores of Bowstring Lake in the heart of the Chippewa National Forest. Here you can relax and enjoy nature in the Great North Woods, experience dozens of area attractions, and get hooked on some of the best northern perch, panfish, bass, and walleye fishing in northern Minnesota. Call 1-866-878-0101 to book reservations or check out their website at RockyShoresResort.com for more information. This year, don't ignore the call of the wild. Embrace it and enjoy yourselves. That number again is 1-866-878-0101. Rocky Shores Resort is open year-round. Call today.
If you read Taps Para Mag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd
Could not go to work because Bigfoot stole my car.
and the creepy. Taps Para Mag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of The Ghost Hunters to the latest trends in technology in the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparamag.com.
They're hardly beautiful and barely average. In fact, when they were both born, the doctor slapped their moms instead of them.
I will slap you so hard you end up in the Ming Dynasty.
Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town with Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis.
Thank you back, or thank you back. Thank you back, thank you front. Thank you for coming back to the darkness on the edge of town. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, Tim Dennis, and our guest this evening is Mark Constantino. Now, I will, Mark, during our show, we have people that chat on our bulletin board, and for people listening, we do have a bulletin board over at darknessradio.com. You just click on the Discuss tab, and then join up on the board there. You can go into the radio show section and actually discuss with other listeners about the show. And I know a lot of people are giving it a bum steer because it's they can't hear what's going on. The sound quality of the EVPs is also being distorted because of our phone hybrid here in the studio.
Yeah, in all fairness to you, Mark, we're having a slight problem with our phone hybrid, and it is distorting the sound that's going out over the air in the finished product that you're actually hearing online. Right. So, in all fairness, if people want to hear these EVPs for themselves through their speakers in stereo at home, give them the
website again you can go to is www.spirits-speak.com. That's spirits, plural, -speak.com. And you'll be able to hear them for yourself there. They are a lot more clear. You'll be able to hear a lot more of what's actually being said and be able to follow along with the investigations. It's really interesting. I feel like we're doing a little bit of a disservice because the hybrid's kind of mucking it up. Although I've got to tell you, I have my son and my cousin in the studio with me this evening, and knowing a little bit about Red Fox, my cousin pointed out something. I want to play this Red Fox EVP again one more time for you, Mark. He wants to at least consider that his version might be more accurate.
Okay.
He thinks maybe it says Red Fox needs booze.
And you know what? That may very well be.
Kyle, I think you nailed it on the head. Red Fox needs booze.
One more time.
Yes. I think I hear you pretty clearly. Yeah. Well, it's a nice try. Originally, I think he said Red Fox needs boobs. but, I don't think that the surgery would have worked in the afterlife anyway. We've got on the line with us Mark Constantino, and he and his wife are paranormal investigators. They've been doing this. How long have you been investigating? You said about 6 years here?
Yeah, as far as EVP, but we've been paranormal investigators for probably 15 years.
Okay. Now, if people have a haunting, and where are you located? Let's get to that real quick.
We're in Reno, Nevada.
Okay, so if people in Nevada have a haunting or a problem, they can contact you via your website, correct?
Absolutely.
And you will come out and do an investigation and try to collect some EVPs.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's talk real quickly. We've got Tommy on the line with us, and we have a question coming in from Tommy. Tommy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi,
Tommy,
Dave.
can you hear me? Good. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good, good. Thanks for calling in. Now, you have a question for Mark?
Yes, I wanted to... I once bought myself an inexpensive tape recorder, and I just left it on. It was a voice-activated. I left it on all night while I slept one night, and the next morning I had a very clear male voice saying hello, like with a question mark after, like... And it just sounded really clear, and I was wondering, is it very rare that happens?
Yeah, you don't usually get really clear EVP. It does happen. I can't hear. But the majority of the time, you'll get Class B or Class C EVP.
Okay, so if you set up the recorder, I think what she was wondering is, is that normal to, if you set up a recorder even though you're not asking questions, that you can still get EVPs, or that spirits will try to communicate with you? Am I getting that question right, Tommy?
Yes, that, and also for the voice to be just clear, like as if someone were in the room speaking.
Well, I think he was saying that that's not always the case. I mean, getting the clear ones is probably a ghost hunter's dream, to get ones that come out that clearly. Most of the time, you said they fall more in the B and C range. Is that right?
Right. Unfortunately, yeah. But also, to answer your other question, if you were wondering, you can absolutely just set a recorder down and kind of walk away and leave it on all night long, and you will. Chances are you'll pick up some sort of EVP.
All right, now who's got the creepy EVPs going on in the background?
Are you in an airport, Tommy? Because it sounds like
no, I can't hear you over the phone, so I turned up my speaker. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. We were hearing as you're talking, I'm hearing, I'm thinking of spirits trying to communicate to us over the lines.
I thought you had a departing flight for Tucson.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Tommy. All right, Mark. So, yeah, most chances you're going to get are going to be in the B and C range. How often do you, when you do the investigations, do you get A material?
How often? I don't know. I would say you might get one Class A per investigation.
Okay.
Maybe one or two tops. Usually you don't get more than that. I mean, every once in a while we will. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, moon phases and stuff like that. But Class A's don't usually come around too often.
Okay. Can you tell us real quickly, or we've got about 3 minutes left in the show, can you tell us about your work with the TV show Dead Famous? For people that missed out on that, it's a great show on the Biography Channel that they go to haunted spots, or purportedly haunted spots, from dead celebrities, and they go to all the different places that they used to hang out and try to get a psychic feeling for what happened and try to get EVPs and things like that. How did your investigation go on the Howard Hughes investigation?
Well, we got some really good, I think, good EVP, and also we got some really good video. And it's a video of an orb appears, and it appears to come out of the wall, but just at the instant that it comes out of the wall, it almost looks like the wall kind of changes form, or almost like melts a little bit. It's really amazing. It's on the website.
Okay, so people can check that out at going to spirits-speak.com. Now, how many EVPs did you get from it, and how many would you say were A quality?
We got, off the top of my head, I would say we probably got about 30 of them.
That were A quality?
No, not A quality.
Okay.
It might have been one or two that were A quality.
All right. And did you think that they were Howard Hughes that you were communicating with, or was it other people? that he knew or were involved in the places that you investigated?
Right. I don't think we got a hold of Howard Hughes there. Like I said, I just think there were just spirits there that have been there, and they were the ones that were coming through. Real quick, the strangest thing for me was we did a seance that night there. And I'm the kind of person that likes to be in control. And I don't really remember too much of what happened. But after the seance was over, Chris, the host of Dead Famous, and my wife turned to me and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, you were saying all this stuff. You don't remember saying it." And I don't remember saying any of it. I guess what happens is an entity or a spirit came through me and just started saying all this stuff, and I don't remember any of it.
Is that on the episode itself?
No, they cut it out.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, they showed one part where my hands started shaking, and the last thing that I remember was my breathing. It didn't seem like it was my own. It almost felt like somebody else was breathing for me. It wasn't my regular rhythm.
Wow.
And then that was it.
And that show's aired already, correct?
It has aired already. We recorded the whole seance for EVP.
Okay.
But it kind of freaked me out so much, I've never even listened to the recording because I don't think I want to hear, kind of what happened.
Well, maybe sometime we can have you back on the show and you can play it for us, Mark.
I'd love to.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Mark, and coming on such short notice. You've been great. Ladies and gentlemen, with us was Mark Constantino. If you need help or you're interested in more information about EVP's electronic voice phenomena, you can visit their website at www.spirits-speak.com. Again, that's www.spirits-speak.com. You're listening to the Darkness on the Edge of Town radio show. This evening, our guest was Mark Constantino. Coming up at the top of the hour, we've got Lloyd Auerbach, the professional parapsychologist, is going to be joining us. Also, my special co-host for the evening from the TV show Ghost Hunters, Steve Gonzalez.